PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there, guys. Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle, where we help you become the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself.
Boom.
As always, I am here with the one and only, the lovely
So uncomfortable.
Maggie Moo.
Oh.
She's in the house.
Oh my goodness.
And my lovely wife, Janie, of
Wow.
course.
Let's
But
see
Maggie
if your
Moo's
lunch
in the
gets
house.
made tonight.
Maggie Moo's in the house too. Guys, I have an update on Maggie Moo. A couple episodes back, if you've been following us, we had a discussion. Here she is. We had a discussion about Maggie Moo because my wife was cozying up to my doggo. Guess what? I won that battle. This is my doggo. She my baby now.
Yeah, because you actually started taking her to work with you like you said you were going to do.
She the baby. She loves her daddy. We're trying to get Maggie to become a gym doggo. It's going to be a process, but I think she will. She's an athlete at heart, so she's going to love being a gym doggo at some point. Anyway, guys, we're going to jump right into the health news. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I got three things here on the health news. First one that I want to talk about, because it's I think this came out a couple weeks ago, so we're a little bit behind the curve on this one. McDonald's they're committing $200 million, which is chump change in the ether of McDonald's, but it's a good amount of money, right? $200 million does a lot of good for a lot of people, right? They're dropping $200 million into regenerative farming. I tell you that initially. What does it make you think?
Makes me feel suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Yes.
Because to me, regenerative farming is great. I fully support it. And if McDonald's was going to utilize regenerative farming, awesome. But with the amount of burgers that McDonald's sells, I don't think regenerative farming can support that.
Well, maybe them putting the money is to expand the infrastructure so that they can start supporting their beef production, at least regionally in some regard, right?
But then the other
Which would be the ideal way, I think, for a lot of this stuff if you source your stuff regionally, meaning I'm in Florida and you pay Florida ranchers to provide beef for Florida McDonald's.
Yeah, so my other thought then is when big companies like this go to support regenerative farmings, then they can influence how regenerative farming are practiced.
Ding, ding,
so then
ding,
are
ding.
they going to change that?
Yes. So are we going to bastardize the label of regenerative, which we now know to be,
kind of
no
like
antibiotic?
how organic got bastardized.
Organic used to be what regenerative is now. Exactly. So, we know no antibiotics, no chemicals. It's farming the way God intended it, right? For the most part. Is this influx of money? And I don't know. We don't know who's going to get, which farms are going to get it. Is it going to go into a fund that farms can apply for? We don't know how that's going to be distributed. But is them putting this amount of money, and it's probably an initial foray, let's say this works somewhat well. I don't know what they hope it would do. Maybe it's a PR campaign. Maybe they're just trying to make themselves look good. But that money, that's a lot of influence, right? $200 million will make people do stupid stuff. So it is concerning. It is a little suspicious in a way.
I hope it's not. I
really hope it's not too, because regenerative farming, we know, when we talk about the future of health being in the past, we know that getting back to something like that is what is going to be better for human beings long term, right?
Right. And didn't McDonald's used to use tallow and
Yep,
all
they used
natural
to cook in
beef?
tallow. They still, their beef, supposedly the burgers, the beef is 100% beef.
Yeah. But
Supposedly,
I mean, I
allegedly.
know
The chicken is another story.
this was back before they probably are at the level they are now, where there's in some places there's McDonald's everywhere.
Yeah. When you eat a McDonald's burger, what kills you is the sauces and the actual bread itself, that it has in buku ingredients. Supposedly, the
Oh.
patty itself is 100% beef, and they don't cook it in oil or anything. They just literally put it straight on the grill.
Yeah. See, because I don't really remember. Do you know what I remember about McDonald's besides like Happy Meals as a kid? Was remember when they used to play the Monopoly game?
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
partook in that. My favorite McDonald's story was the Batman movies, when they would have like the Batman combo. I used to eat that thing religiously.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. It was like a triple patty, kind of longer type burger. I look at
But
that.
my favorite was Wendy's. Because Wendy's, you could get some chili.
Yeah,
You could
Wendy's.
get a burger and fries with a Frosty, and then you dip the fries
No,
in the
you
Frosty.
see, guys, this is where I don't know who I married. Putting French
Yep.
fries in Frosty.
Yep. Yep.
What are we talking about
It's
here?
the sweet, salty combination that you are weird because you don't like.
No, listen, have sweet salty somewhere else. Like, why are you gonna put a French fry in an ice cream? That's insanity.
I'm hungry now.
Girl, tell these people you're not gonna go eat Wendy's. We're a health podcast.
I'm not going to go eat Wendy's, but I'm just saying, I used to do it.
I
Yeah.
could tell you, I know the day that I quit eating McDonald's. November 2005.
See, I wasn't like I was more of an equal opportunity what was around me. I know I stopped eating fast food in college because I would wake up in college, I drank way too much, and I would wake up hungover, and the only place open early, like before noon, was Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
So I would walk to Sonic and get a burger and a milkshake and walk home, and that was how I cured my hangovers.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that sounds like
I got my steps in.
sounds like a good option. That's literally the option. No, I quit McDonald's in 2005 because I literally got sick, and it wasn't. At the time, this is a great day of eating, guys. I had Burger King for lunch, McDonald's for dinner.
Oh,
Exactly. Next day, I was in college. I was 2005. I was 22 years old. Yeah. So, and yeah, 22 years. God,
yeah.
almost 20
But
years. Next day, I was supposed to wake up for PT to work out in the morning, and I was sick as a dog. Like, I just felt completely like my body said, bruh, what are you doing, bruh? That's too much poison in one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the concern with the fast food is the fryers,
Yes.
right?
And
But it's
refrying
so
and
hard
refrying.
to not get fries when you go get fast food.
Yeah. But
But the fryers, because they reuse that oil over and over and over again. If you don't believe me, if you've ever eaten at a Long John Silver, why do the hush puppies taste like fish? Because they use it in the same fryers.
No, yeah, that's true. The oils, when you start refrying and refrying and refrying in the same oil, that definitely throws, it's highly oxidized stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention they're using soybean oil probably or something like that, but highly, highly oxidized.
Yeah.
And the more you heat it, the more it deteriorates, at which point you're literally eating free
So
radical city.
What I would see is like a optimal thing is if McDonald's did start to like support regenerative farming, got back to using tallow to fry their fries in, and maybe that is a little bit more of back or front end money, that because tallow is more expensive than the oils. That's one of the reasons why people use the seed oils so much. But what if then there's just less McDonald's and higher quality of food at McDonald's?
That's something that's an option.
I mean, that would be great, because I don't think that America's going to crumble if we have less fast food. We actually might be healthier.
You got plenty of options there.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's a race to the bottom with fast foods now, like meaning they cut more corners and more corners and more corners, and the quality of the food they're using, the quality of the ingredients they choose is getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Well, so fast food gets a lot of heat, but what about the chain restaurants? Like, Chili's, Applebee's.
They all source their food from the same company.
Right. Because I worked through college at Applebee's, and I will never set foot in an Applebee's again because I know what goes on in that kitchen. No, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of those chains, they source their food from the same people. Sysco, the company Sysco, Sysko, and pretty much a lot of those meals come prepackaged, and they just literally kind of reheat and replate in different ways. So you can think you have a choice. You're given the illusion of choice, but you really are eating meals from the same company.
Yeah, heated up in plastic.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how that works?
Yeah.
Man,
So just keep an eye on McDonald's. Anytime anybody does something good, we always have to.
when you're and this is not because we hate people that make money. I really want to stress that this is not because we hate capitalism. This is not because we hate, people making money. I understand the margins in the food industry are smaller than most other industries. So they got to figure out ways to make more money. I get it. But a company like McDonald's, who isn't exactly known for looking out for your health, starts making a move like this where they're pumping money into regenerative farming. And then it's not a crazy amount. It's not a big amount to them as a company, but it's a substantial amount.
Yeah.
So, this is something that could sway, right? Be like, oh, yeah, we're going to move the regenerative label to include all these other things that are not actually regenerative. I'd be curious, and we are going to have him back on, what Jake thinks about it.
He may know more about it.
Yeah, he'll probably, being a regenerative farmer, he may be more might have his ear to the ground.
So, yes, we support regenerative farmers getting more money, 100%.
No doubt.
Yes, we think it's great that if McDonald's is supporting regenerative farms for good intentions, we fully support that. But we just always keep an eye on what the motivation is and what the outcome is. And
Yep. Speaking of
Remain
suspicious
aware.
activity, so because we wanna, I got my eyebrow up on this one. So speaking
Can
of
you raise one eyebrow?
of course I can. Just call me Dwayne the Rock Johnson, right there. Boom.
It's like a minor elevation.
Girl, I can elevate this eyebrow.
Yeah.
I can elevate this eyebrow. I hadn't done it in a while, so it took me a little bit to figure it out. The more suspicious activity, Johnson & Johnson. Let's talk about Johnson & Johnson and what great company they are, right? Obviously, people think of Johnson & Johnson, they think of what?
Baby powder.
Baby powder, right? So baby powder, Johnson & Johnson.
Baby shampoo.
Had to pay, all these baby products, they had to pay out a lawsuit because the baby powder had a highly cancerous ingredient in it. And they paid out a bunch of money for
Who
it.
gets that money? Because I'm pretty sure Johnson & Johnson baby powder was used on me.
It was used on me too. Johnson & Johnson baby powder been on a lot of butt cheeks now. Both babies and adults, okay? It's, in the Army, when you're out there sweating your booty off, you just throw a little on your little undercarriage right here to prevent the chafing.
The chafing. Yeah.
So, yeah, Johnson & Johnson been on a lot of booties.
So who gets that money?
That's a good question.
Can I get my $1.25 owed to me? Because I'm sure that's what it would be like when it's split amongst everybody.
Among all the booties that it's been on. Yeah, baby powder, it had a terrible ingredient. Here's the thing. They paid out the lawsuit because they knew that it was contaminated, and they still decided to sell you the product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So Johnson & Johnson just sold off a chunk of their company, right? It's called Kenvue. Kenvue houses these brands, Kleenex, Band-Aid, and the one that everybody knows, Tylenol.
Autism.
Yeah. So I didn't know Tylenol was a Johnson & Johnson product. When all this conversation about Tylenol in pregnant women and possibly being linked to autism and all this stuff, which let's pause right there. Because a lot of people are dismissive of these statements because because of the source, right? The people that are putting forth this initiative to investigate these things are in the current administration, and people that don't like the current administration, these people could say, hey, we're going to give everybody a bar of gold. Like, oh, look at this guy giving people gold. Oh, they're going to criticize, right? They want nothing to do with the current
Yeah.
administration. No matter what type of good they try to do, they don't like it. So, but we're of the opinion that good ideas are good ideas, right? And when it comes to health, it shouldn't be political.
Right.
I don't care who comes up with the awesome health initiatives as long as they make sense. And they are actually for the benefit of the people, because the health situation is so screwed up that we need all hands on deck on this, okay? And I think we can all agree, from the most radical leftist to the most radical rightist to the most weird person to the most common person, suburban person, that we want to be healthy. We want to live long and fruitful lives, and we want to feel good the majority of the time, right?
Well, some people think they were like, I want to live fast, die young, like burn it down, right? And I talked about this years ago because I saw a video of a doctor speaking on this, so it's not my original thought, but the current healthcare system does not allow for living fast and dying young. It doesn't allow for it. It's because when people say, I want to live fast, die young, I think about some people that we used to hang out with, in a different area, where drinking all the time, smoking all the time, eating whatever, not getting any sleep, partying into their 40s and up. I'm going to live fast, die young, right? No, you're going to live fast and then be on 6 medications that prolong your life, and you're going to be very uncomfortable and miserable and going to the doctor often and complaining about how much your pills cost and all the blood work you have to get done and the side effects from them. That's what we've turned into.
You know what's hilarious to me, and I have to say this, the irony is not lost on me, because you're going to say live fast, die young, but then when you have a health issue that jars you, like a cancer diagnosis, like a liver issue, like a pancreatic whatever, or some crazy health complication, you have a heart attack, you're gonna be clinging on to dear life, right? They tell you, hey, you could have a heart attack, and oh, give me all the medications, put me on all this stuff, because I don't want to die. But I thought it was live fast, die young. Moreover, over the past couple of years,
you need to commit to that heart attack.
Exactly. You need to be like, oh, I earned it, so let me
Yeah.
take my live fast, die young, and just put, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not your nature. That's not your nature. You're not, when the bell tolls, you're not gonna be like, well, guess this is what I deserve, right? You're not gonna do that. So why even adopt that mindset? Moreover, a lot of these people, and I'm keeping in mind, when COVID schmovid happened, they were scared.
Yeah.
What are you talking? When you smoke a pack of cigarettes every day, you don't care.
You're smoking a pack of cigarettes, but
COVID?
you're like, you should get vaccinated and wear a mask, but you don't do.
Yeah, you drink every day, but you're scared of COVID?
Yeah.
You scared of a cold? Come on now. You know what I mean? So anyway.
You got off on that. I apologize.
Yeah, but I had to throw that jab in there because
So
you know
anyway,
me.
Tylenol.
So the whole thing is, people don't want to hear it, right? They don't want to, this administration proposed it. It's ridiculous. I don't want to hear it. But the truth remains that, one, we have an issue. We have illnesses and chronic illnesses and cancers and all this, the autism, which is what comes into mind, that is skyrocketing, right? And it's more and more prevalent, it's more and more common. It's not going down there, and people don't have answers to it. So why are we going to write off things? We should be pulling up every rock, looking under every rug, looking in every little nook and crevice for answers. So everything should be on the table, because we all agree, right? Listen, some parents of kids with autism, they're like, this is what God gave me. I'm going to rock, right? I'm going to rock and they're superstars. That's awesome. But we can't deny that it's a toil. It's a challenge.
It's occurring at alarming rates.
And it's occurring at highly, highly alarming rates. And it's not something that should be happening like that, right? This isn't, we are obviously, we as humans have a hand in these autism rates. We don't know what it is. And I'm not saying that people are out there doing stuff purposely to give their kid autism. I'm saying that we as humans, in our construct, we have created something, or we have allowed something that is creating these issues of autism, that is creating these issues of autoimmune disorders that nobody knows the root cause of. It's creating these issues of cancers popping out of nowhere. We as humans have done that to ourselves.
Yep.
So when people ask questions and they bring up something like Tylenol and in pregnancies, why are we mad at them? Why don't we sit down and chew on it for a little bit and be like, you know what, maybe we should look into
Well,
that.
because people swung to, oh, so now you're saying pregnant women cannot have Tylenol. And that's not what they said. Because, and I didn't look deep into this, but I never saw how much Tylenol is linked to neurological issues. Is it if I'm pregnant and I have a cold and I take some Dayquil, or not Dayquil, but like NyQuil that has Tylenol in it or something like that. I don't even know if you can take that. But anyway, say I take it because I have a cold or something. And I do it one time. Is that enough?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it is seen in pregnant women who dose Tylenol frequently throughout pregnancy. And it's also, everybody's different, right? Because there's some people who I'm sure took Tylenol during pregnancy and took Tylenol as kids, and they don't have, any autism. But we always have to remember, you could still have received the same dose of Tylenol as somebody else who did develop autism, but what else did they go through that may have set it off? So there is some evidence out there that inflammation can set it off autism. What happens when we receive vaccines? Inflammation. It's prompting an immune response. One thing that the immune system loves to do is cause inflammation.
Yep.
And so is that why they are seeing, when kids get vaccines, subsequently they start to develop autism-like symptoms? It could also be, what if they got sick with a wicked virus? Or what if they, were bit by a tick and had Lyme disease, right? Would that, set it off? So it's just, there's so much we don't know. And the thing that terrified me about the Tylenol and them saying Tylenol was linked to autism is then you saw these people, as Dan was mentioning, that if the current administration says, hey, Tylenol's calling autism, you have people typically of the left variety who will do anything to stand against the administration. So there were some women who were essentially ODing on Tylenol during pregnancy to prove a point.
Yep.
But we have to remember.
And putting it on TikTok like straight dummies.
Yeah.
Why are you a weirdo, bro?
Yeah.
Why are you popping Tylenol on TikTok and putting
Tylenol has an effect of pain relief and fever reducing. It also has an effect on the liver. You can call it a side effect, but it's an effect. It's metabolized by the liver. It can cause liver toxicity if you take too much of it. And a lot of people were taking too much of it to prove a point. And it's sad, really.
Yeah, and it's like you're willing to hurt yourself or put yourself in jeopardy to make your little ridiculous talking point on TikTok. Social media, let me not get into that
But the whole thing with, pregnancy, when I had patients who were pregnant and they come in and they're sick, and I mean, you have some women who, I might catch some, whatever, but whether or not some people are, if a person is pregnant or not, there's a group of people who cannot tolerate being ill. They get like a little bit of a sore throat one day and they're like, oh my goodness, give me an antibiotic, make this go away. I can't handle this. Then you have other people who are like, okay, I'm sick. My body needs to fight this. I need to ride this out. Same happens in pregnancy, but now it's not just you who you're affecting. And I have had some women who wrote it out, like the illness, let their body do it. I think I had a friend who had the flu during pregnancy. She didn't take Tamiflu or anything like that, even though her doctor recommended it. She just let it, run its course because her body's fighting it within reason, right? She didn't, I'm not saying if you have a super high fever that could be a detriment of your health. I'm talking about just like a common course of an illness. But you have some people who are like, give me amoxicillin, give me Tylenol, give me all these things, just, even if I am pregnant. And it's just, I tell women who are pregnant, I'm like, it's your decision, but here's all the options, and just understand that if you do take medications, it can impact the development of your child in ways that we probably don't know all about.
The thing with the statement is that it wasn't made definitively, right? They're like, hey, this is something that we should look into.
Because they found emails, right?
Oh, so that's the FOIA stuff. So the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. So for those of you that are not familiar with the FOIA process, you can petition, usually journalists do this. You can petition, but you don't have to. You can petition any government office for records, right? Because everything they do is a matter of public record. So you can emails of public, official emails of public officials, that sort of thing is all public record. So you can petition for specific things, right? And I keep this in mind because there's other FOIA stuff that we should definitely talk about here. But they petitioned the FDA for stuff on Tylenol, right? And and there were emails going back and forth, supposedly, allegedly, let's go put that out there because there's a lot of stuff on the interwebs. Supposedly, allegedly, there are emails that go back as far as 2012, where they're talking about concerns with neurological disorders in children and from women that were taking a lot of Tylenol when they were pregnant. I'm just a guy on the internet talking stuff. I have presented this information to you. You do with that what you may.
Yeah. So I'm reading a book about AI, right? It's a fiction about AI right now. And it's about this woman who is in charge of the algorithms for AI, like self-driving cars, and the moral decisions they have to make. So like an example they give is like, if you're in a train and you continue on this track, you may kill 5 people. But if you go this way, you kill 1 person. And so AI now has to make the decision 5 or 1, where that might be simple if you just keep it to numbers. 1 person dead is better than 5 people dead. Okay. But what if it's like a small child versus 5 people in their 90s? Right?
Or you could keep
so
going.
Then,
future president of the United States, 5 criminals.
Right? Yeah. And so at what point, when they sent emails saying, hey, this is causing neurological issues in children,
we're seeing, they're basically admitting like, hey, we're seeing more and more of this happening. I'm starting to get concerned. That's the verbiage being used in the supposed email.
Why didn't, study halt, or producing of Tylenol halted, or let's put out a warning. At what point is the money that you could generate from a product not worth the potential harm to newborns and developing children who are the future of this country? So you're telling me that the revenue of Tylenol, that money is worth more than development of children?
So let's talk about how much they sold it for.
Okay.
They sold it to Kimberly-Clark, which a lot of people don't know that name because that's a minor pharmaceutical, $48 billion.
Yeah.
So if they have Kleenex and Band-Aid with it, but $48 billion they sold that brand to them. Where did Kimberly-Clark get the money? That's something that I was reading into because they had to partner with another thing to be able and do a stock share and this sort of thing to be able to come up with that money, because Kimberly-Clark is not that kind of company that can drop $48 billion for something. But yeah, they dropped it off. So now start thinking, as I always say in the show, if people do crazy stuff in the streets for $100, what do they do for 100,000? What do they do for 100 million? And what do they do for 100 billion?
Yeah.
So you start thinking about the money that Tylenol has generated over the years, and then you get why somebody would be like, these are not the studies you speak of.
Yeah.
Of thing,
And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at SummerStrong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chalkless.com and use code Jane Brown to snag 10% off your order.
It just mighty suspicious, the timing of them dropping that sale off and be like, oh yeah, we're going to sell Band-Aid and Kleenex too. Or yeah, take Tylenol with you as well, to this minor pharmaceutical. I didn't get that far into looking if there were lawsuits coming up against Tylenol, which I wouldn't be surprised if they are. But it sounds like they just decided to kind of cut a finger off and be like, hey, let's drop this off because Johnson & Johnson has already paid out significant amount of money in lawsuits. Future episode there, because we're definitely going to get into all these pharmaceutical companies and how many lawsuits they've had to pay out and why they paid out the lawsuits, which is what matters more, because it all usually involves the fact that they knew, it got proven in court that they knew that their product was causing harm, and they proceeded with the release of it anyway. And we have multiple examples of that. We have currently one running that maybe in 5 years we'll be talking about lawsuits and things like that.
What?
COVID jabs.
Oh.
COVID jabs. Yeah. So that'll be.
Raise your hand if you've had cancer after COVID vaccine.
You're going there. Very interesting conversation there. Whether that'll be a future podcast, because that's a big deal. That's a lot to roll out. But there's again, listen, we're asking questions. I think if there's a dramatic increase in cancers, especially in parts of the world that are not known for crazy high rates of cancers.
Yeah.
There's a dramatic decrease in the age of people getting cancers, 30s, 40s.
Well, I think that, so we listened to the same podcast where somebody was talking about, and I'm not going to speak on GLPs, but they use the GLPs for an example. The fact that we don't know long-term effects of GLPs, but they're helping with obesity now, and this person is pro them helping with obesity. And they said the GLPs are like, there's a house on fire, and we're going to spray it down with foam to put out the fire, but people may be mad that the foam could potentially cause environmental issues 10, 20 years from now. So I see where they're coming from, but if we look at, with the COVID vaccine, that it was escalated quickly. We don't know the long-term effects of it, right? But they did it to put out a fire, and they did, especially because we were living in upstate New York at the time, they did really well at scaring you to thinking that this vaccine was going to prevent great harm. And then and so I did get the vaccine because I was working, job said it was required. I didn't challenge it and I didn't push it. They said it was required, and the way it was angled to me is like, get this to protect your patients. And I'm like, of course, I never want to be the cause of somebody getting sick, right? And then if I'm seeing people who are sick and then I have this, immunocompromised person come in for a completely separate thing and I could possibly transmit that, that's terrible. So yeah, I got but then we realized
you were getting sick anyway.
I got sick anyway. The vaccine is not as effective as it was. COVID wasn't as deadly as they portrayed it to be, and all these things. And so now I'm like, why did I get the vaccine?
Your boy had a feeling. Mm-hmm. I said no. And when I got sick, and then you got sick the very next day, I was like, well, you look at that.
Probably because you were an unvaccinated super spreader.
I was a walking super spreader event in my own house. I tell people my reason for abstaining was not because at the time I didn't have the information I do now. I just had a gut feeling. But really what I remember telling you is like, listen, I've taken so much stuff from being in the military. All these vaccine parties, you're deploying, hey, walk in this room, pap, 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 pap. They make you look like a freaking strainer with how many shots they hit you up in one sitting. I've taken vaccines that nobody's even heard of. I couldn't even tell you. I would have to open my medical record. It's that big, and I didn't even have that much stuff with it to tell you what I've had. I don't know.
That might be a fun little
I don't know what I've had. What they
fun little
gave me.
exploration.
Yeah, you don't ask questions. You just roll your sleeves up.
I know
literally.
you got anthrax.
I got anthrax. That's the only vaccine that I know that I for sure, and smallpox, because that one's easy to tell. The anthrax vaccine is 6-shot series, okay?
Series. You say series weird.
Girl, don't make fun of me accent. It's 6 shots, 6 vaccines, right? To complete the series of anthrax immunization.
Sorry.
It's serious. How do you say it? Series? That sounds like multiple.
You seriously can't say series.
That sounds like multiple iPhones. Like you're talking to a lot of series at once. Mine sounds like a series of things, like a World Series, right?
Janine, are you hearing this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
100%. This is hilarious.
Okay, so what I'm saying, it's 6 vaccines to complete the whole shebangalang of anthrax vaccinations, okay? The only reason that I know that I got the anthrax vaccination when they hit me with it, after they hit me with 5 other stuff, is because it burns. They call it the peanut butter shot. At least we used to call it that. Because you feel
thick.
a burn going down your arm as soon as you get it. But anthrax peanut butter vaccine doesn't. Once they hit you with that immediately, and if you know, you know, guys that have been in around GWAT, they got hit with it. Immediately, you're in all the way down to the fingers. It just burns. They're like, oh, there's the anthrax. So the thing with that vaccination is that years later, when we were in upstate New York, I met a guy who walked around with a dog that alerted him if his heart rate went up too high, right? Because he would pass out. He had a heart condition that he developed after getting hit with the first vaccine of the anthrax shot series. So, and he was young. He was way younger than me. This kid was in his 20s still. And I'm like, whoa. I told him, I was like, bro, I took all 6. Now, the DOD discontinued the use of the anthrax vaccine because they were having too many adverse reactions.
Interesting.
Yes. When you lay out the amount of adverse reactions that they had to this anthrax shot, next to the amount of adverse reactions that they've had from the COVID vaccine stomps it out.
Oh, really?
Yes. But yet they stopped using that one and not this one. Why, daddy? You know, but whatever. But listen, whatever.
Anyway.
That's it. Leave it there. That's something that we'll talk about later, and we'll get into it. We veered off topic there.
We did.
Okay. Last health news that I wanted to bring up, getting back on track here. Bovare. We've talked about it here.
I thought that said boomer. I'm like, I didn't know we were going to talk about boomers today.
No, they're not talking about boomers. We're talking about Bovare. Okay. We've talked about it in the episode. If you haven't listened to that episode,
Cow farts.
So Bovare is a feed additive for cows. They put it in their food, in their feed, which cows should be eating grass, but whatever. They put it in the cow feed, and it limits their methane production. So the cows essentially fart less, right? It's green agenda type stuff. It's, we're going to limit the emissions and control your carbon footprint type World Economic Forum type agenda. So Denmark.
What if McDonald's is giving money into regenerative farming only if they use Bovare?
Oh, God, that would be nasty. Bovare is approved for use in the U.S.
No.
So, yes, ma'am. Yes, it is. It is approved for use in the U.S. Supposedly 65 countries are allowed to use it. Now, whether they're using it or not, we won't know. I'm sure there's somebody right now in the U.S. putting Bovare in their cow's feed because they work for Bill Gates and therefore they work for Satan. So I know they're doing it, but whatever.
But where did they do it that the cows were dying?
Denmark. So Denmark started October 1. They started using Bovare everywhere.
A little over a month ago.
They decided to they're already reporting adverse effects. So they have cows essentially just boop, dropping dead. How many of them are dropping dead? They're saying that is a substantial amount. And that cows that start getting sick, where they notice it, they're giving off less milk immediately. They're producing less milk. And then cows that look like they're getting sick, when people started really reporting it is because they stopped giving them Bovare. Cow makes feels better again.
Interesting.
So is the
I don't think
Bovare-
that's sustainable for farmers, because if cows pass away, and I'm sorry if this is offensive to some people, but if a cow can't produce and is not worth the investment,
Yeah.
then it's not worth feeding them and essentially keeping them alive.
So
in a like conventional farm, I'm not talking about regenerative farming.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have to acknowledge the agenda, right? In a future, I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on.
So I have a
real quick.
question.
Yeah.
Is cow farting new?
Cow farting? No, cows have been farting.
They've always farted?
They've always farted.
So why is it an issue now?
And why their farts and not ours?
Yeah.
You know? So it is, this is a made up construct, right? That makes no sense. Easily
Do you think
debunkable.
methane built up in Noah's Ark from cow farts?
How did they make it for 40 days?
With cow farts.
With cow farts in there. That's wild, man. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure those 2 cows in that confined space, it's just something that I think that this is this is the beginning of an attack on farming.
I agree.
They want you to eat highly processed food made in some lab grown meat, lab grown that, imitation meat this, highly processed that. That's what they want people to go to, right? In the name of climate change, in the name of zero emissions. They're gonna, in the next couple of years when the climate change agenda kind of dies out, because even Bill Gates is conceding on that now, they'll come up with another reason why it's good for you to eat some synthetic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And to stay away from the natural stuff that God gave us and that actually nourishes your body.
Yeah. That it cracks me up, like vegans or people who don't eat meat, but they'll eat meat alternatives that are made to taste like meat and
look
feel
like
like meat. And what's that? The mouth feel of meat. That just sounds terrible, by the way. But it reminds me of, we knew this chef who went to like a vegan street fair or whatever, remember?
Oh,
and he grilled carrots to like
look like
hot
hot
dogs.
dogs, yeah.
Like put the grill marks on them and put the carrots in a bun, and nobody wanted it. They wanted the fake hot
dogs.
Yeah.
Yep. The impossible
And so
hot
I
dogs.
was just like, that was really creative of his part, and also y'all like carrots. So
the vegetable part is in your name, right?
yeah.
Vegetarian, vegan, that vegetable, so you don't want to eat the vegetable.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
That makes no sense. But whatever, here we are with Bovare in the feed, and it's already, right? We checked the results. It's already having negative results.
Yep.
So apparently, supposedly, allegedly, of course, we're going to add that to that because you never know. But the thought of adding something that's going to mess with the cow's digestive system, which is already a miracle, an awesome thing all in itself. This thing eats grass and gives you nutritious meat because it, chews it up multiple times and extracts all the nutrients
weird how that
from
works
it.
out.
Yeah. And you want to mess with that? Okay, cool. Whatever. Okay. So we talked about Bovare in Denmark. Something to keep an eye on when you start hearing about Bovare being widely used here in the US of A. Just make sure you say not only no, but you say hell to the no, no, no. Okay. Moving on. We're going to take a couple minutes here. We want to talk through the process that we kind of use to get people healthier, what I would call going from zero to a health hero.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Janie and I, we coach people, right? We coach people through optimizing their lifestyle so that they can actually pursue health. Our company name is Achieve the Lifestyle. Why did we give it that name? Because to truly be healthy, you have to adopt a bunch of habits and behaviors that you have to do continuously, open-endedly, and you really can't deviate from for the rest of your life. And that's where you achieve the health goals that you have, right? So it means that you have to adopt a lifestyle.
Yep.
So we talk about getting to where all these healthy behaviors become a lifestyle. That's why it's Achieve the Lifestyle, because that's what's actually going to get you there.
Right.
Okay. So somebody comes in, they want to get healthier. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. See what I did there?
Oh,
Anyway,
gosh.
you know, they want to make some significant life changes. Where do we start?
We start with questions.
A lot of questions.
Yep.
But
So
what do we want to know first and foremost? I think blood work's usually what you...
Yeah. So blood work and stool testing. And stool testing has just, I think it's sort of it's a missing part of the picture that a lot of people aren't getting, because it can, how do I want to say this? It can add to the blood work results. So it can help reveal more completely what's going on.
You're talking about the stool test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's, if you just get blood work only, okay. If you just get the stool test only, okay. But having both can really shed light on things.
Now, let's talk about the blood work for a second, because people get blood work all the time.
Right.
But they only hear about 2-3 results and that's it.
Yeah. So the standard blood work done in a primary care office is going to be cholesterol, complete blood count, and a comprehensive metabolic panel. If they do test a thyroid, they're only testing like a little bit of it, not the complete panel. You're going to be challenged to get a hormone panel done, especially if you're a woman. Men, they may just check your testosterone. That's it, right? But there's a lot of other things at play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the conventional ranges where, take vitamin D, for example, 30 to 100, right? Where the functional or optimal range is really like 50 to 100, So it's like pulling up, it's making the ranges a little bit more narrow, because with conventional blood work that you most likely will get it with your provider. And now there are some conventionally trained providers who are great about this, but more often than not, you're in a practice that has a high volume of patients because that's how they make money. And you're in there 5, 10, 15 minutes. Okay, goodbye. See you next year, or 2 months, 3 months, whatever. The conventional ranges are so broad. So if you're high or low end of normal, they're not going to say anything because it's green or it's blue. You're normal, you're good. Whereas if you get blood work done with somebody like us, we're looking in more of a narrow range to help you achieve your optimal health and to feel good. And so it may say like, hey, this, for example, liver function testing is a little bit high or a little bit low, not glaringly high, but it's out of functional range. This could mean like maybe your gallbladder's not, maybe your bile's not digesting as well as the fats as it could, or, stuff like that. So it can lead us to look at things a little bit more closely that may be keeping you feeling completely well. Because how many of us, we eat right, we exercise regular, and by right, what we think is right, exercise regularly, we're trying to get sleep, we're trying to do all these things right, but maybe we just don't feel quite right. Like I feel a little tired. I feel like, I'm just not, I feel something's a little bit off. And then you go to the doctor and blood work looks great. Maybe you should eat less and exercise more. Bye.
Yeah.
And so that's what really drove the passion for this, is because we want to help people who really are already kind of taking an interest in their own health, and they're trying to do the right things, but they still don't feel great and they're not getting answers elsewhere. Well, let's, look at some blood work, some stool testing. what can we optimize? And maybe it's you're doing stuff what you think is right, but maybe it needs to be less.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it needs to be, yes, you still need to exercise, but let's decrease the volume and increase the intensity into making these little tweaks like that and helping people walk through that.
Yeah. I think starting blood work gives you, and like a full on blood work where you see all this liver function, all that stuff, it gives you a picture, right? That you're like, okay, this is where we're starting out. Awareness precedes change. We first need to identify where you're at, and then we can start talking about where we want to go. Now we say strength, health, and capability, right? But health, really, getting that assessment of health through blood work, through stool testing, how are you functioning, talking about sleep and all that sort of thing, and getting that picture really is what starts driving this process of a health transformation,
Yeah.
which is what we're gonna.
And I talked about asking questions because we have an intake form that's very comprehensive. Dan is even like, does it need to be this long? And I'm like, yes, because I want to know everything because it matters. So for an example, I'm not sleeping well so I'll just do like an avatar. This 40-year-old male is not sleeping well. His 2 kids keep him up at night. And some, conventionally trained person would be like, okay, we'll have, kids need to sleep in a separate room, try to set boundaries, da, 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 da. Whereas I will be like, why aren't your kids sleeping well? Are they snoring? Do they have upper airway issues? Do your kids have, some depression, anxiety? Are your kids like eating well and everything? Because if they're more rested, you can be more rested. So it's a little bit of a deeper dive. And it's also seeing what your day-to-day is because I worked with somebody recently who said his bowel movements were fine, but then he described what his bowel movements are. I'm like, that is not fine. That is no, sir. Have him on a regiment. What did he tell you? What did he tell you?
Yeah, the bowel movements are like, oh yeah, it looks completely different now.
And he's like, they're great. I feel good. Interesting. But he didn't know, right?
It just goes to show, that most people don't know how far away from optimal they are. And they don't know how good they could feel if they made certain adjustments. Even people that are already, quote unquote, doing healthy stuff, they don't know how good they could feel.
Yeah. And another thing that I like to do because few things. Like when we had Dr. Ken Gray here, he's integrative medicine. He's like, it's not me or the medical provider. It's me and the medical provider. And I really like the way he verbalized that. And that's how I like us to approach things because I'm not trying to be somebody's primary care provider. In this role, I'm not functioning as a PA. I'm functioning as a health coach. I understand the healthcare system. And I think that's a huge benefit for people that we work with. Because I've had people say, hey, I'm getting ready to go to my doctor to talk to them about X, Y, and Z. What is the best way I can prepare for that? And I'm like, okay, here's how they're probably going to approach you, but here's the questions that you're going to need to ask. And if they don't, here's what you need to tell them to do to help them, get what they're requesting. And so almost as like an advocate for people within the healthcare space. Because like I said, we're not trying to replace your primary care doctor because I believe you need to establish with a conventional medicine provider because, God forbid on the blood work or the stool test, something comes up, like say there's blood in the stool. Sorry, you do need to go to conventional medicine for that because that needs to be further evaluated. Mm-hmm. And so it's in addition, but it's a more individualized, in-depth evaluation of your current lifestyle habits. Then we get the data from the blood work and the stool testing. And then we work on developing a plan to optimize your health, whether it's lifestyle practices like daily habits.
Before we go there, another thing that I would want to see is a InBody or a DEXA.
Yeah.
I think, and now you have a full picture because now I know you got the blood work, you got the stool, so you got the gut stuff going, and now we have the hardware, right? What is your body doing? What does it look like? How much body fat do we have? How much muscle mass do we have? You claim you're working out, but the DEXA or the InBody is going to tell the story. Are we dealing with osteoporosis? Are we trending towards osteoporosis? That sort of thing. Now you have a very full picture of like blood, gut, hardware, the body. You know?
There's other things that we could talk about too, because there is just more and more evidence coming out about sleep apnea, our upper airway architecture and issues that's causing just with how we've evolved. And that needs to be part of the assessment as well, which that is in our questionnaire, asking about airway stuff. Especially for women, sleep apnea can present as teeth clenching, grinding, headaches, anxiety, not your typical, I have a thick neck and I'm snoring, you know? And so, anyway, there's a lot that goes into that. But what I want to stress is that a lot of times it's helping redirect people back to the basics. Because,
after we have that picture,
well, that's going to be the bottom tier.
yeah,
You know, that's the foundation of the pyramid is the basics, because you can't build upon it if you're only sleeping 2 hours a night, it's hard to build upon other habits because you're just going to be tired.
Yeah, so once you have that picture of, hey, this is your body, this is where we're at muscle-wise, and this sort of stuff that's going to carry you, right? And you have that gut, picture of the gut, and you have that picture of what your blood work is looking like. We overlay the principles, right? So what do we need to do to live a long, healthy life? We need to focus on sleep. We need to focus on what you're eating. We need to focus on moving the body. We need to focus on who you're hanging out with and what kind of connections you're building, right? And we need to focus on spending time outside and building with nature. This is what builds healthy humans and has built healthy humans for millennia, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a matter of how do we overlay these principles, these basic principles. Notice that I didn't say, how do we get you cold plunging? How do we get you in the sauna? Yes, that could be part of the equation depending on the individual, but it's the basics over biohacking. Thank you, Unconventional Collaborative. That's where we're pointing to all the time, the basics. We want to do the basic health habits uncommonly well, okay? Understand that. That's where we're going. You think you do the basics health habits. I do them well. No, I want you to do them uncommonly well. I want you to never falter, because that's what's going to get you to 90 and kicking butt, right?
Yeah.
So we start overlaying this sort of thing onto whatever the blood work, the gut stuff, and the InBody or DEXA is telling us.
And also your reported symptoms or concerns on the intake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in whatever is, everybody has a thing, right? Like a goal. Be like, hey, this is why the InBody becomes a thing, because people always want to lose weight. They associate health with losing weight.
And that's not our primary, we're not a weight loss.
We're not a weight loss thing. We're not, and honestly, nobody should be. There are weight loss coaches out there and people that focus on this heavily. But if you want to change your health and change your life for the better because you got healthier, you didn't just lose weight, because I could get you to lose weight and get you even sicker.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But you get healthier. Focusing on the scale that's not the way. That's not what you want.
Yeah. Weight loss is an outcome. It's a measurement.
Yeah.
It's not, nor should it be the main focus, right? Because weight gain is telling us something.
Well, and this depends on age too. Like
It's also, but like in its very simplest form, if somebody's like, I can't gain weight or I can't lose weight, I keep gaining, but I'm not exercising, and I'm not exercising and I'm eating everything in sight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's bring down the intake and let's increase the activity in this specific situation, and we'll focus on those things, but then the result is going to be weight loss.
Yeah.
Right? And so weight loss is a vital sign, and it's a measurement. It's not the measurement, and it is an outcome.
It's funny, because I had a conversation this week about losing weight, and I had the older gentleman. If you're of a certain age, and I'll say definitely past the age of 50, if we're talking about weight loss and you're losing weight rather quickly, I am very concerned. My mind goes to what's going on, because we know sarcopenia is a thing. We know that you could be sick, or did we get cancer, something like that. So people concerned with this drastic weight loss, especially in more advanced ages, I don't think that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
immediately just go to, hey, what's going on here? Why
Yeah.
are we losing weight so quickly? We don't want to lose muscle, right? So these are things that we need to talk about for sure.
Yeah. And I just think far too many people don't keep in mind like how they feel, and they don't feel quite right, but they can't get the answers, and they just don't understand, like they don't understand how feeling optimal feels. I'm going to say feel a million times, apparently.
That was a lot of feels.
Yeah, a lot of feels.
That's a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to talk about more, right? Like
Yep.
to expound on what is actually optimal. And that's something that we'll definitely start getting more into, and we'll probably break it down by sections, be like, hey, what is optimal in these ranges right here? And what are symptoms of being optimal versus not being optimal, being below, like what kind of symptoms you could be dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to be continued on this conversation.
Yeah.
Anything that you would like to close on with?
No, we are getting a package together for blood work and GI testing, and then, basing a protocol individualized for people, and then plus or minus us working with you throughout that protocol. And so stay tuned for that, because I think that that'll be great and help a lot of people.
True.
Yeah.
Guys, if you need help with your health, we're going to keep talking about this every time. Reach out. I think also the goal here too, as we lay this out, and we'll keep laying it out in future episodes, phase 1, get some blood work, get on an InBody or get a DEXA, get some stool testing, figure out what's going on with your gut, and then consider the principles of long-lasting health and how do you apply that to your life. Phase 1, right? As we go into phase 2, we'll talk about it on a later podcast and this sort of thing. I want people to be familiar with this, because you might not necessarily hire a health coach, but you will probably end up trying to help somebody figure out their health in some regard. Maybe your brother, maybe your sister, maybe your parents. That happens a lot. You start having conversations about health with your parents. So you should know, I want people to know, have an idea of what questions to ask and how to talk about it. Be like, because not everybody's going to hire a health coach. Not everybody can afford to hire a health coach.
Right.
But we should have some awareness of the basics of you taking charge of your health. That's my goal for everybody we come in contact to. I don't want people to be ignorant onto how to get healthier. I want that information to be widely accessible so that more people decide to partake in this process of getting healthier. That's the goal.
Yep.
Lots of healthy people walking around here lifting weights, eating steak, going to the beach, spending time outside, connecting with cool people that they love. That's the goal. And watch how things get better.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you need help with this, guys, where can they find us, Janie?
Our website at achievethelifestyle.com. They can email us at info@achievethelifestyle.com.
Yep. And where does it go down?
In the DMs on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle.
Yes, it do go down in the DM, guys. We do pay attention to the DMs because we know that it go down.
Yep.
And with that in mind, wrapping it up, what do I want you to do? Stay pharma free.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.